Okay, it just told me mic unmuted. I have to make sure that I'm set up straight here. I didn't comb my beard yet. I got my comb, just moving stuff around and hopefully got things set up straight. How's my audio? Where did that type? I said, how's my audio? And I've got a few things going on here, and I still have a high disk usage. I don't know what this is. I maxed out on my, well, I don't know if I maxed out on my upload side. It's not showing. At least I'm getting chimes. And John Sab, do you know where that 5x5 originates? That terminology? That's old radio talk. I studied that at one point and figured out what they meant 5x5, but it's kind of an interesting thing. So, and I pulled down some stuff off the bench. I I mean, I did have some stuff, unboxings and things like that, but I thought, hey, it'd be great to kind of talk about um, start getting back into the computer reset stuff, and I still have a lot of that actually in my van. Kind of, my van is buffering the storage right now. I have a lot of the binders, and I have the binders laid out in the order I wanted to get to them. And I've really not done very well for scanning here lately in this last week. I've not done well for videos in this last week. I've only done announcements and things like that a lot of the time on my community area of YouTube. So, but from the LGR video, and he actually, and I don't know if he's if Clint is enough familiar with the 3290s or not to. I knew model numbers, and he probably was, because even the or he asked the volunteer, because they unearthed a 5251 terminal first, and um and of course every single one of those things, just like anywhere else, doesn't have a keyboard to it. And I do have a keyboard to this unit. I actually needed to, I should have pulled that out. I haven't even cleaned this up. You can see the sheen, the dirty sheen off of it. And it actually, it has a, and of course it has the assembly recess where they put the different sections together. And up here on the track on top, it does actually have mice turds. Those at least aren't rat turds like around here. They look to be mice. And I think one of the young volunteers at Computer Reset remarked that they had he brought out a 3274 unit, and the mice, or he said rats, had built a nest inside. And so they evidently have that element there at Computer Reset, at least the far end of the warehouse, where they have, unfortunately, where they have the reserved items that are supposed to be for the museums. And I really want to get some needed paperwork in, or have the timing to get down there and get some of those stuff, those items that are there that they have reserved, because you know, those places may not show, may not bring in the trucks in time to pack that stuff out. And yeah, and um, so as a further correction, and I went through and I corrected on the LGR video. In fact, I was going through and I was trying to, I can probably provide a link. Everybody's seen it anyway. I don't, you know, 1.5 million subscribers that I probably don't need to point out where his videos are. Just about everybody can find him. But in fact, it may even go through and play audio as soon as I find it, because I'll click on it. Oh, come on. I'm right in YouTube in my subscription area, and I have to, because it came out. Yeah, I'm too far in. Come on, he had a nice banner and everything. Why am I not seeing that? And I don't think it removes the stuff from my subscriptions when I view the video. Why am I skipping over it? Well, I know that Tom. Yeah, it's kind of like, what the heck? Okay, so at least my hard drive is calmed down now. Oh, there we go. There's home computer. No, I'm still too far. Okay, we find it another way then. And I think Tom, well, but so I went through and I made a comment on Clint's video, because he said, I've always looked for one of these and the hardware to run it. And as I went through, and it's, you know, my channel's more than just computer reset stuff, but I mean, it's a trip that I was on almost a month ago, and it'd be effectively 4 weeks ago that I was in Dallas. And Clint was there, and I even went through, and it's hard for me to believe it was just a month ago too, because some people are commenting, oh, that was filmed 2 weeks ago. Well, Clint came in, if he says on the Friday, that would have been January the 21st. He was there, I was there at the same time on January 22nd, which is the Saturday. And I was there at Computer Reset for the afternoon session. And then I left the area on Sunday, and LGR was there, and that would have been the 23rd. And I think that he left out of there at like Monday. And it was a lot of footage that they had to go through before he was able to come out with and release his video. But he made the comment that he'd like to have found a display like this at the time and had the hardware to run it. Well, it's a full terminal. It has the logic board in there for being a terminal, and it is a 3290. I'm trying to remember, and it's in the catalog. I know is up at the Ardent Tools site, and that um, catalog is from a binder, and I don't even know where I have the binder around anymore. I know I have it stored away somewhere safe. Um, but there's also this display goes on a 3270 PC for just a display. It doesn't, in that case, it has the logic element replaced, and it actually has a cable that goes to the video of a 3270 PC, and that's basically a PC 5160 XT that has special adapters in it. It's an XT motherboard, IBM XT motherboard, and then it has adapters for the um, the keyboard is actually routed through a little dongle assembly that converts it over. Um, it's kind of like a little Y cable, and John. In fact, that's probably the angle to do. John Elliott has a yeah, and actually should have gone to okay. Hey, Chris. So, and this is John Elliott's page on the 3270 PC. I'm putting the link up now in chat. And in fact, I can do. Oh, I still have my spreadsheet for token ring firmware in OBS as the browser capture. Yeah, this is the 3270 PC information that John Elliott has, and this is really excellent information. I'm sorry I'm looking up. I have it on the my OBS running on the display above, the big display. There's that beautiful keyboard, and the 3290 that's there behind me actually uses the same keyboard connection to the 3290 terminal, and it's actually a splayed 5-pin DIMM. I've got it on screen myself. Yeah, see, there's some of the keyboard adapters there, and it's got this little. And the interesting thing is he doesn't have the dongle, and I have a few of them. Even found them one time with where they're in like salvage gear that I found like one or two. So there's the pin out over on the right. That 240 DIN socket is a connection up to the for the keyboard side, and of course that 180 DIN plug over on the right is um, for the XT motherboard, and then that DB9 connection is for running through that little conversion card. But needless to say, uh, the 3270 PC has its own. Oh, there's the dongle. Um, on the left, and then over on the right is the one that I think that he made. or the one that I'm more familiar with is over on the left. So the 3270 PC has its own video boards. It has a different kind of video that is, you can put one into an XT motherboard or maybe another system. There is even, I think, a 3270 AT board that you can go through and put the same boards into an IBM AT. And so, and the seller on eBay, that's actually that's Brian Ma. And I know Brian. I've talked to him on the phone. I've interacted a lot with him. I've got a bunch of stuff from him before. And even the thought is the arrangement is that for that stuff, I go through and I hope I'm doing a little bit of advertising and people knowing that they can get the stuff from him. Now, so what I'm trying to say is, see, you have all those 3 boards, and 2 of them are pretty much what you've got to have. Well, I think you can run it as one board. You don't have to have the program symbols, but I think the all points addressable board is necessary. And it's got these full size boards, and they're just wafered in because you have these interconnectors at the top. I think he's even got a picture of the interconnectors. No, maybe not. And he goes through a lot of the screen details, really lays out the information of how the video is from this. And in fact, I need to go through and probably even scan and pictures and things like that as well. And of course, if this information, I think I asked Tom to cache it on the Ardent tool just in case something happens, because John Elliott, I believe, is a New Zealander. He's and you never want to confuse Australia and New Zealand. An Aussie or the Kiwis. There's a little bit of rivalry there. But that's the point I'm trying to make, is either you have to have one of these video boards in a system, be it a 3270 PC or something else, that to be able to use this display. You're not going to be able to use this display as a display unless you somehow gut it and put in some other logic elements. And that's the comment I made at Computer Reset. There, along with Clint's remarks, as he went and so his video footage is just prior to me getting this 3290 terminal. And I do have one other one that I picked up years ago. And like I say, I've got the terminals because I've got the 3270 PC units as well. And I actually need to find out if where I've got a keyboard. It'd be interesting to see what the test pattern is on this. Yeah, and that got the LC, and I actually picked up. That's another thing I picked up from Computer Reset was LCD displays for the PC convertible, and that is the 3rd display. That's with both sliders. So that's how you tell the latest display of the PC convertible is you have both sliders on that screen assembly. And I found one new in box. It's like, hey, if you have a couple more of those, that'd be great. And they brought down two full boxes. I think they're 10 displays per box, or maybe 5 displays per box. They said, "Oh, you better get extras because we don't know if they work." And I've seen other people there that have picked up the boxes of those as well. And that's just a use case of having a PC convertible. Um, I'm reassured by that because I know that those people collected those for the commodities that they are. In other words, they'll be able to go through and they're looking at probably flipping them on eBay or some other marketplace. So you should start seeing those come out, those displays, because I don't think for the boxes I saw one truck, and they brought it like a U-Haul truck in, I think, and this is just even a couple weeks ago, and out the because Computer Reset was closed one weekend for the snow and ice, and I think that was midway. I think that was 2 weeks ago. So maybe this last weekend. And of course, they're having an event today, but I saw the U-Haul and I saw probably this 4 boxes of those 4 big boxes of those PC convertible parts. Um, so the well, I always talk about I forgot to put on my fingertips or something like that when it comes to typing, and you break 2 of my fingers and you'd ruin my ability to type. Um, I can't type quick, and I maybe that's held me back sometimes. But this is just like the 3270 adapters on eBay and stuff like that. And Brian has, and they're nice, brand new a lot of the time. Even the token ring boards that I've been getting a lot of the time now, they're still shrink wrapped, and they're that just amazes me. For there's not any use case otherwise for that. People don't have a main. I mean, there's the Hercules emulation and stuff like that that people are getting into now, but there's just not the ability to just plug these in, and especially for something like this. I mean, you could plug this in the 3290 into, and you'd have to get a keyboard. And the keyboard pirates out there. That's why they didn't have keyboards around with them either. Are scarfing up the keyboards. Um, so that's going to cost you, and you'd be able to go through, and I don't know how much you'd be able to do on this. The use case is not all that great, and so, but that's the people that go out there and they, I don't know. I encountered, and it's been more than a week ago. It still upsets me a little bit that there's somebody else on the IBM mainframe and mini computer group on Facebook that goes through and somebody shows a terminal with a keyboard, and instantly you have people popping up saying, "Oh, I need to get that keyboard. I'm not worried about the terminal. Let's I need to buy the keyboard from you." And all they're doing is looking to convert it. I had one discussion with a guy that he even responded with a video, of I said, what's your intentions to do? And he responded with a video that shows a conversion to USB, and a conversion to USB is not using that keyboard with a terminal. It's they're trying to go through and convert it to a modern system. They relate the beam spring, and I'm for the for like the 5250 keyboards. I just don't understand the why people even think that they like that it's not even a modern layout at all. and they think they're all great typists and everything else, or maybe they're writing up code and they just really like the feel and they think they can really type away on that. But it's just, you know, that guy, when he started coming up with the video and everything else, that's the point I responded saying, why are you here? Why are you on this group? You're not on this group. You're not going to go through and grab, you know, uh, try and access. That's being this being your route to grabbing keyboards from terminals. Um, and yeah, but what I say with the keyboards is there's modern equivalents that you can get. You can get you know, get a Unicomp keyboard, go through, and there's other mechanical keyboards. They're available, and sure, they're expensive and they're fancy. Some of them are lighted and everything else. But people that want that technology of the beam spring keys have modern equivalents that they can get that more easily connect to their systems. Um, yeah, and on the modern versions that they're supported by software that's out there that you can remap the keys and everything else anyway. But that's just a kind of a sticky point a lot of the time. Yeah, you get one from Unicomp. You can get keyboards that work with the modern system that have the same technology in the keys on the keyboard. It's not like we can't invent mechanical keyboards anymore, or can't make beam spring keyboards. Well, yeah, we can. And people need to stop grabbing up those terminal keyboards and yeah, and that's the one way that he justified a little bit, and that helped me a little bit to where it was non-destructive to the keyboard. In particular, I think the one video was the 5250 keyboard, that it was just a board that they slid in and stuff like that. It's non-destructive, but really the intent is it's never going to go back to being connected up to a terminal again, even if it's non-destructive. They may have it and they may go through and use it and things like that. I am the way that I think that there's modern equivalents that they can find out there to use with their systems, and they need to leave the terminal keyboards alone because it puts them in short supply. Even for what Computer Reset had set aside, none of those terminals there have the keyboard at all. Hi, Hugh. Yeah, there's a lot of substitutions for those. And I mean, I've gone through and I've collected keyboards in the regards to reuniting them with terminals. And I do have other keyboards, but I mean, a short supply. I have less keyboards than I have terminals. And I might be able to do an adapter between some of these pinouts, like John Elliott shown. Yeah, and I understand. Or going through and rebuilding a keyboard that maybe is shot. I can understand a lot of use cases, but going through, and what I'm talking about in particular is somebody going through and having a terminal and keyboard as a set and getting approached by people to say, I just want the keyboard. And that keyboard being, exact match for the terminal type that's with, and, them going through and just saying, and even if they purchase a terminal, they just throw it out anyway, or they go through and have the seller scrap, just saying, hey, just ship me the keyboard. I don't want the terminal. You can throw it out or resell it to somebody. And of course, they can't be resold. They don't have a keyboard. You know, people don't know. And that's where the big thing to the keyboard piracy has the aspect where if the terminal's without a keyboard, a buyer knows that they just can't find a keyboard for it economically in a lot of cases. Um, that that terminal no longer is a viable thing anymore. And as I say, normally, for the 3270 stuff, you've got to have some mainframe controller or at least an emulator to go through and use it as intended anyway. But why? It's just something that's my rant for this side, and um, so a little bit of that too is that with LGR having 1.5 million subscribers, and probably a whole bunch of people that just happen to see his videos too, maybe subscribers, maybe not, that when he says something on video, I've always looked at getting one of these and getting it set up and everything like that. That puts the idea in so many people's heads of, hey, I've got to go out there and get one of these because Clint said that he'd like to see something like that, and it's like all the other items. The I know when it pops up on a YouTube video for um, some of the big names in YouTube, in particular the retro PC stuff, where if they mention it on their channel in a video, um, then they have so many people that are out looking for that item after they do that video. And for instance, I was looking around for uh, displays. They um, even the flat panel displays. Like I've got this behind the 3290. I have this, and that's a bigger flat panel. I think it's like an 18 or a 19, and really slim bezel on it. And it has multiple input. It does have the DVI input, which is really easy to convert from, and then to HDMI or DisplayPort or anything else is so easy. Passive adapter, and then it has S video input, and it's even got composite input on it. And so I was on the look for some of the items like that, and then um, V Westlife comes out and says, "Hey, you need to go out and find these flat panels that are 17-inch, and they do all this fantastic stuff." And I was like, "Oh gosh, finding those now is going to be so much harder because he mentioned them on a video, and it's going to have people looking for them, and they look for them in nothing more than him mentioning it on video." And and don't get me wrong too. I mean, I go through and I use a track point 2 on my main computer at home. It's effectively a Model M with the track point in the center, and I don't even use the track point anymore because I like a scroll mouse, and so I route around. I don't have it connected, so it's just like I have effectively a Model M that I use with my Think Center systems. I run it through a KVM, and so by the same way, I'm using in a sense an older keyboard with my modern system, but it's not a terminal keyboard. I could go through and have a Model M connected up the same way, and run fine. And yeah, it's noisy and things like that. I mean, I go through with my wife's schedule of sleeping. Um, she puts in headphones and stuff like that. That doesn't disturb her from me typing away there. But I understand why people like to have those keyboards connected, but it's just I think for them having modern systems, um, that they can go out there and buy the equivalent, um, brand new, that does the same thing. It's the same relative technology. I want to look into the comments again because I've seen them scroll by here, but yeah, and I haven't missed. And I understand there's people that like the Model F, and that's a little bit of the layout more like, the 5251 keyboards and things like that. They like, I've got a good friend that likes the older layout of that. Yeah, and um, the 5250 emulation side that's the an aspect I've touched on for the channel. I mean, and in particular, if I have a right on camera anyway, I mean, I've got my AS400 right down here, that 9406 170, and it's even, it's running right now. I joke around, it's running to keep the place warm. It's not doing anything um, effectively. I've got the Ethernet switch it's on, it is running. It has a fan going, and yeah, sure, I'm going through and with the fans, I'm cycling some dust and stuff like that. But I can go through and those terminal types, I can connect them up. But yeah, 5250, when it went out, there's really, at that level, there's not really people that are making so much of the emulators and using that terminal technology. I've covered kind of what I consider the budget terminals, the 3196. The 3197 is a little bit better. And that's where, in fact, that's the most keyboards I have is for the 3196 and 3197. And that's an angled 9-degree angle keyboard plug. And all my 3197s are kaput. And that came out in monochrome and color. And so hopefully I can find a 3197 terminal, or a couple of them that are functional. Let me just see if I can. Yeah, I've got to see what I've just got going on. Otherwise, nothing really important or anything like that. I haven't. I've gone through most of my email today already, and so I just thought saying out the 3290 display would, or terminal. Even I get caught in. I call it display, and it's a terminal. It's a full terminal unit. Um, that this is not going to be a. Oh, you're welcome. I love going through, and I realized how it is when I was started my YouTube channel. I'm in no way. I'm not even big yet. At least I've gone over 1,000 subscribers. Um, no, it's just West Point Fever. It's just been some rants from my side on keyboard pirates and things like that. So I don't know how much you've missed in that regard. Um, and yeah, these 3290 terminals. I mean, they're not going to have any other use but being connected up to a main system. Now, this is the Model 2, and you can tell that by it being thinner. I mean, the Model 1 looks different, and I actually like the view of, in fact, I like the Model 1 I like a lot more for how the look of it is. It's got a bigger assembly behind it, and the front looks different. In fact, it's all flat. It doesn't have these ridges. And I'm glad for this screen. This has the lip that IBM put on some of the otherwise displays, that this breaks real easy. People put stuff up against them and stuff like that, and these just break. This one has a notch in it. I'll probably put some plastic filler and can color it to look appropriate. And this is actually, it's got an Amdel, and this is heavier, or I would move it around a little bit more. And that's the way I guess I can get the mice droppings off of it. Now, this one is the best shape of the units that were there. And they have even these for the one, in fact, I probably need to go through and unplug it. One of them had a balun on it, or they all had baluns on it. And fortunately, another one, the balun, somebody had bumped it around, and so they disconnected the coax connector from the board. And this looks very much like my other one as well. Oh, in fact, I've never noticed the rheostat on the back. And I know my other one has that even has a rubber retainer on it. I think the rubber retainer on mine is missing for the other one, or maybe it's disconnected. A lot of the same thing. You could put a straight on plug in here, but it's maybe the angled plug, because here's your power. Ooh, that keyboard connector is cracked. And it looks like the pins are still connected. I'm going to have to, and surprisingly, that's metal. I think maybe that's just the metallicite or the coating on plastic. But at least the pins still look like they're there, but just that riser, I'm gonna have to glue that back in place and come up with a way to keep that stable. And I would think that'd be metal. Hopefully I won't disrupt any cameras. And this one even has at least the appearance, although I've got metal filings on it I need to clean. Okay, so the plate here is metal, but this connector for the keyboard is not. It's got that metallic coating paint that IBM puts on stuff. But I got it for the other one. This coax connector was loose, and so I went for the one that had the best appearance. Now there is a little bit of I mean, that looks like almost like rust in a way. And so there's your coax, and even you have your big old bypass caps or metal oxide varistors there, like the emulator boards do. And it's got a, so that's not a, I was originally thinking that was a rheostat, but it's actually a switch. It, I was thinking it would go through, okay, the rheostat you've got here, probably for intensity or something else, but I don't know if that's a necessarily a power button or not. And in fact, under that recess, that's really, really strange for, I can't see somebody, especially with this cover on and cables connected to it. I can't see where someone would be putting their, yeah, that's just not, that's not a good way to, and I don't know what operational shape that this is in, but I'll probably go to the point of investigating. And I remember it's probably got like personality boards that you could plug in here for expansion. Now, there was even the 3174 units at Computer Reset that were set aside for a museum. And they require, that's where they even have the diskettes, 5.25 inch diskettes. They're even, I think, the 2.88 megabyte capacity that you go through to IPL or to load those systems. And the 3290 terminal requires a different additional image on diskette to run. If you have any 3290 terminals connected to that 3174, it requires additional. And so I don't know if those 3274s, they may have diskettes with them that can be that in a diskette well that may have images for the 3290s as well. So data manufacturer, this is May 7th of 1985 of what it has here. So that's and I don't know if I want to go through for, yeah, there's, and I don't know why it has that third, is that third shift? Wow. So they even stamped this with the shift that was on that date. The third shift, you got to, even um, if it follows convention, the third shift would be the evening shift or the late shift. There wasn't even a fourth shift, I think, a lot of the time when you talk about an 8-hour day. And that might be an afternoon, afternoon to evening sort of thing. But you think that how much of, when you talk about third shift, that they are working relatively around the clock at that time to go through and produce these. It's just that's kind of interesting. It's just funny how I can spin this, how I can go through and spin this, and I have to make sure that my mic doesn't mute or anything like that. She should tell me if it does. She'll tell me mic muted or something like that. I wanted to see. Yeah, they're saying 18 kilograms, 40 pounds is what they're saying for the weight upside down. Let's zoom back out. I was saying that there's the weight sticker. I was looking for the plant, and they do have the type 3290, and then they've got a 2 off the side. Okay, model and part number. Part number made in USA by IBM, Armonk, New York, USA. So I don't know if this is, I mean, IBM has had the manufacturing plant information for a long time, but I was looking for the code. Oh, there's the switch there. So there's your, yeah, I suppose I knew that before. And without a keyboard, I even wondered, I don't want to really tempt fate with that keyboard connector until I beef that up a little bit more. I was thinking on going through and if I could get an even to see. Okay. So what we're going to do, put that just to keep that rubber, and that rubber retainer for the door seems like it's functioning pretty good. That really worked well to all the droppings, the rat droppings that were in that notch. And I don't know if it'll have anything to display screen. And with the light in here, I don't know how. So at least it gives the codes in the line in the bottom. And it may be a keyboard sequence to get up any test screen or anything like that. But this unit is functional. I can hear the fan going and things like that. So that's kind of great news. I at least I was able to investigate that keyboard connector too. So let's get reading the chat as I had my back turned. Okay. And I did have a okay. So focus. Focus. So that's 17 and a half. And these are effectively the flat panels. I mean, that's diagonal. It can do so a little bit over 14 inches, probably 14 inches viewable area wide, and probably just a little bit over 11 and a quarter for viewable. And that worries me a little bit. There's a little bit of delaminate, a little bit of, it almost looks like a drip at the top of the screen. that I'm not sure if that is visible. And that's just the edge of the screen too. So I don't, and we saw this thing fire up at least. And now we know the dimensions. And yeah, so West Point Fever, what type of terminal was it? And whether I don't know if I was trying to get. I'm waiting for an email actually for from a young volunteer that talked to me there at Computer Reset, and I was looking for for pictures of the keyboard connection, and for me to be able to know what type of keyboard that you'd be looking for. Yeah. And I can't imagine the market there in Europe as well. Although some of the units I've seen here lately, it's been um, some things in like Italy and things like that for the terminals that have been that I've seen offered at the market. So yeah, at least we have the measurements of the screen now. Yeah, so yeah, there's emulation that can be done. The 3270 emulation, and there is emulators for Hercules and things like that. I don't know the true functionality though of being on a terminal like this. Um, and there's all kinds of neat stuff now that SSH and stuff like that. That's how you get on those. A preference for the command line or something like that. Yeah, there's probably people that could go through and like that stuff, but yeah. So yeah, and this is a plasma display, 3290 plasma display. So and Daniel asked about the keyboard. So there's three types of the terminal keyboard connections that I've found out there. And there's the RJ45 connection, and that's on your 3151 async terminal. That's on your info window, the later info window terminals. And that keyboard, it can be either the 101 key keyboard or the 122 key keyboards that are commonly on those. And then even I have that that shorty keyboard that's just like a space saver keyboard in the width that has all the function keys that, on the top as well. And that's another type. I'll have to go through and rebuild that keyboard. And so there's the main three types of keyboards in addition to keyboard connection types. And also the older style, and IBM did that with the 5251 terminals. They on the old display writers, where you had that big blocky keyboard, wedge keyboard, um, and those are DB25s. Now the 32, excuse me, the 3197, 3196, they have a angled 9-degree angled plug that's the same pinout as what these have. These have a it's the end is actually a in fact, let's do that. Okay. I should have got to where I could interact with it first. Scroll all the way back through. All that video stuff. Okay. So I probably don't need to show. Okay. So these are the connectors that the one that's on the left on this big long cable is the for the keyboard to plug in, and it actually has a screw base that to connect into that. Over here on the right for the shorter assembly, I have to make sure what you guys see compared to what I see. The shorter style that's over on the right, the connector in the middle, straight up from this DB9 that has the silver, probably a metal enclosure. That's where the keyboard connects, and then the other side to the right is what connects into the motherboard keyboard connector, and also that black for the assembly that's over on the left, and that's the one I'm more familiar with. That connects up to the XT motherboard, but these have that splayed 240 degree angle, such as shown on the right, and so it is what is used to. That's what connects for the 3290, for the 3270 PC. All those are the same sort of. It's a straight on metal that actually screws in. It's the only keyboard connector I've seen that screws into the connection just to keep it tight. And so let me. But I've been happy for the chat's been going pretty good. I really was at a little bit of a. I thought, hey, it'd be great to go through and pull out a something I picked up at Computer Reset, and the 3290 terminals are what got quite a bit of comment. In addition to, of course, the executive workstation, I thought about pulling that up. I'm still working on that a little bit to get it going. And so the question is, and I've heard this on the Computer Reset group, any PS2 or MCA stuffed left at CR, meaning MCA meaning microchannel, CR meaning computer reset. And Daniel answered it and said no, and that is largely true. Anything that I saw that was related to PS2s, and I've talked about this previously. I think I went over this on chat previously. I grabbed a hold of that stuff if I found it. Now the PS2, the only real stuff I found with PS2 was power supplies, and there is not any more complete PS2 units at Computer Reset. I found some microchannel boards with those. I found even a well, that was maybe even an 8-bit board. That was the 5250 emulation. I found some of the flip adapters, the DCA flip adapters that are microchannel on one side and 8-bit on the other side. But I didn't find too much microchannel stuff at all. And please don't go on to uh, the pre-90s, and I'll address that for Computer Reset, but don't go on the Computer Reset Facebook group and ask what's left at Computer Reset. They get that question all the time, and it's it's hard. I understand their frustration on dealing with people. They don't really know. There's not an inventory there. They're not going to be able to quickly give a concise saying, "Hey, there's a box of Apple One um, motherboards or main boards underneath this. There's these Lisas that are on the shelf over here." Um, and people expect that they have that one item that they're looking for, and they're like, "Hey, I'd like to come and I'd like to look for that or something." They a lot of time they know what they don't have in a lot of ways, and they get people are looking. Hey, I'm looking for a case, a next computer, um, with the one with three best local bus slots, not the one. And it's just, they tell people sign up for a session, come over and look through it is the only way of knowing what's there. I was glad that I grabbed a lot of the stuff that I got. I wish I could have got more. I wish I had a little bit more time. I'm thinking if I come back, I'm wondering if I even will do a double session. And if I do that, it's going to have to be a bigger vehicle anyway. Um, and you know, it's so, and there's a lot of, I went through and I guided someone last night on new to the Computer Reset group that saying, "Hey, how you doing? I hope you're fine. I'd like to come by and visit." And it's weekend deals. It's they have sessions set aside. You just can't contact them and say, "Hey, I'd like to come midweek. It's the only thing that works out for me. I'm coming in from so and so. I'm looking for this." They're not going to be able to accommodate you for that. It's volunteers. Um, and you just have to sign up for a session. You have to come and down and find out what's there. Um, so, but and Daniel's answered a lot of those questions on the tractor trailer. I'm just thinking of a truck with a lift gate or something like that. If I can get a box truck, and I'm trying to work with a friend, and uh, the aspect there is if I go to Computer Reset, I'd like to go with some paperwork and um, be able to pick up some particular items I saw there that are marked reserve. I'd like to put in just enough of a word that I'm trying to put that stuff back in service. I'm trying to put it in a museum setting so other people can enjoy it. Just like this 3290 that's behind me. I want to get that back in service. I want it to do the things that it just like it did before. And like I say, at least that this unit that I picked out, I'll have to clean it up a little bit, but it looks in real good shape. It powers up. We got the display down at the bottom of the codes, and I'll have to do something about that keyboard connector, and maybe I can go through and connect up a keyboard to it and see if it even gives like a test screen. I think they may do. You press a particular key sequence and it brings up a little bit of adjustments that you can do on the display. So yeah, it must be hard for those people that are international to kind of to see that. But there has been there have been people that have on the group, and so the Computer Reset Facebook group just went over 10,000 members. And I know for a lot of the membership that they're in places that will not be able to get down to computer reset, or it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge. So on the interesting side, Epitronics came down and he did a video and he got one of the executive workstations. Of course, he's having all that stuff shipped back to him, but he's from Sweden. And so, there where there's a will, there's a way. And I'm sure it was probably a very expensive trip for him to come down and to put that, to get the stuff that he did. So that works out better for some people based on positioning, but I would say if you're intending to come to Computer Reset, you need to come as soon as possible. You need to sign up for a session and get down there because it's it's they hope to close in April. I don't know whether it's going to hold to that. There's probably going to be some items that are not going to be sold, but yeah, I enjoyed meeting people down there. I enjoyed meeting Clint from LTR. I enjoyed meeting Daniel, um, some of the other individuals that were there, um, and I'm looking forward to going back. Yeah, yeah, and people have asked whether the Computer Reset group is going to continue after the liquidation's over, and with that membership, it probably will. And I know the buy and sell group will probably remain active for a long time too. But if you can't make it, there are individuals that go through there and they sign up for sessions, and if they are able to pull out items and um, and ship them to people that can't make it to Computer Reset. And of course, it's a little bit more of a pricing to that, but still relatively good. And so, and then if uh, really for that too, there's the I'm I kind of lost my train of thought in a way that uh, the talk of the Computer Reset hordes really, and it's funny in a way because, and I don't, in particular with my stuff, I don't want to even call out anybody, but there is, I'm aware of one individual that goes to Computer Reset and has brought back so much back home that he's filling up bedrooms and things like that at his house. And yeah, to me, that gets a little bit into hoarding, but I can't be judgmental there. And I think that there's the good intention. Like I say, I think the benefit will be that even though it gets liquidated out and gets into the hands of people um, out out there that they can go through and turn it, they can resell it, they can go on eBay, they can go on the Facebook Marketplace, they can go on that Computer Reset buy and sell, and they can. There's going to be years of sales that are going to occur from the items that were at Computer Reset. And so it brings a little bit, like I say, I can't judge anybody for doing that because I've certainly hoarded a lot of items. I wish that I stored some items better than I did, but the we have to look at that our own mortality and just we've got to think a little bit like Richard and the occasion, what happened to him, um, even where it was unfortunate for the door falling on him, and that kind of was the beginning of the end, unfortunately. And but we may have occurrences like that that crop up in our lives, and we gotta look at what we've collected of how to how to to be like Computer Reset's doing, and release that stuff back into the community. um, yeah, and I know it was a big. I mean, that probably had some expense, and that had so many factors in this COVID age for you to come from Sweden down to Dallas, Texas. And I know you met a lot of nice people, great people that you were probably in touch with before. Um, but you know, I don't expect any of these of the nature of Computer Reset, where it was a computer business and it's a huge place and had a lot of stuff. I don't anticipate that there's going to be much other discoveries for places like that. There's been some real recent stuff where I think there's one place up in Seattle that went through and liquidated. In fact, there was a Linus Tech Tips video that he went through, I think, and got some items from an old from a PC place that was shutting down, a computer store that was shutting down. I don't really think that there's too many other, and I could be mistaken. I don't think that there's too many other true computer stores shutting down like Computer Reset are going to be of that sort of nature. But also that's tempered with, again, that, as I say, I'm going through and on, I know eBay sellers that have warehouses of stuff that is still new in box, new old stock. Um, token ring 4 megabit boards that I'm going through and cutting the shrink wrap off of. I know that they have those items even on eBay of listing multiple items. They list, hey, I've got 30 of those adapters they're brand new in box. And so there are things like that still out there. And of course, there's eBay prices for that. So yeah, it is a little bit more of, there's available stuff out there, but the prices are a little bit make it a little bit out of reach for people too. It's and that camcorder is having a problem focusing again. Probably was like that for I don't know what the deal is with okay, maybe that's a little bit better. Gets thrown in the range where it can focus, but yeah, estate sales, and I don't know, the museum angle, I'd like to put together a museum setting, and I think it's wonderful there's a place in Maryland that just got set up, and it's just actually the luck of it was they opened right at the point where COVID hit. And I don't know if there's what the new normal will be, whether in time, whether those museums will kind of return and be in locations that people can visit. I certainly hope so, but I don't know if we're in that age anymore. And really, for the distance and everything else, the virtual aspect is so much more. Um, I think the stuff from Computer Reset will drive prices down. I think that there's such a surplus of items from Computer Reset, and people pick up stuff for cheaper. They're willing to sell it for cheaper. And if there's multiple things of an item, such as those PC convertible displays, and it's the one use case of connecting up to a PC convertible. If there's a saturation on the market of those, the price is going to go down on them. And what I was hoping for with the PC convertibles, the ones I had, the reason I was looking for displays for mine is I've had those stored in places that have been unheated, and that's bad for the liquid crystal displays. And in Dallas, they've had the excessive heat, but the heat affects those liquid crystal displays less than what cold does. It's hard to boil that liquid crystal comparable to freezing it by bad storage. So I was just hoping to pick up some extra displays for if I have anything that's gone bad. And certainly there's other cases of other items that have gone, been in places that have gone bad. These orange plasma displays like the 3290 has, I don't know if they have elements in them that are as temperature sensitive in that instance, where the orange plasma stuff I think is a little bit more stable long term at least. But so, and I still have a lot of items to go through. I know Daniel's working his way through the stuff that he got, and I still got a lot of binders that I've got to pull out and go through for what I picked up. And so you'll see more of it as time goes by. And I hope to go through, and for some of the items I picked up, I hope to do even trades and stuff like that as well as I go through. And that might be the thing for a lot of those manuals. I mean, as long as I go through and I archive the diskettes and I scan the manuals, past that, why am I storing that manual? I'd like to maybe have a temperature control place where I'd set that aside and put it more of like a collection aspect once I complete that. But is there a reason for me to have the physical item after I've documented and gone through that way? So yeah, you hope that it carries on, certainly for I have to go through and just confronting my own mortality of what is going to happen to the items that I have once I pass. And I hope to be doing arrangements right now that covers that aspect. And so that at least whatever legacy that is 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 covered well enough. But so I'm just still looking at least my system is settled down here pretty good. I've got the stats. It looks like a high point of viewership did go up to 10. Excuse me, up to 12 concurrent viewers. So I think we did good. We did good in the chat. A lot of turnover. I'm happy to go through and have the connection to people that come on chat and ask questions and go through and bring up their experiences as well. And I understand a lot of people lurk. They like lurking, just listening in on chat, watching a video. So, and that's fine too. But I'm going to go through. I didn't see Major Tom pop up on here. I know that this weekend's going to be a little bit busy for him. We're trying to do some, there's still some Ardent tool updates that are going to be going up. I need to get busy and actually do some pictures and things like that a little bit more. And yeah, paper manuals and PDFs. It's nice leafing through a paper manual if you have it, and the way that those are indexed. But I mean, at least we're going through and we're getting that to PDF. And Major Tom works with those. He gets them searchable. we're not going to go to probably some. I don't think he intends to have the documentation go through to be in that HTML format of, where you have links and everything else. Um, that gets a little bit unmanageable a lot of the time. And so I think he's really glad to have things in PDF and put the references online. But that's the thought, is that's why we're going to scanning to PDF and putting it online, is that other people can see, rather than just the manual and leafing through the pages, that they can see that stuff as well, archiving the software that they can go through and use. But yeah, it's where uh, being that the PDF is searchable and it's available online is another of the aspects I'm trying to say, or I'm trying to accent there, because other people getting eyes and seeing that material really helps, and just getting that stuff documented too, like has been attempted at the Arden tool very well. A place for a site for people that are searching for information that can go through and they can quickly find what they're looking for and be able to ask questions and interact with people. But so I think it's been a good stream. It's almost gone an hour and a half. There's no real reason that I go through and close it down on timelines or anything else like that. But just going through, I know that there's other streams that'll be probably coming up here in the day, and I've got to go through and work with some stuff here at this end. I was really glad for all the people that dropping in, and making it a good live stream. I like this time slot so well. The So -0 degrees. There's and I generally try and do that. I try to be aware of the people that are out there. I try and know who the person or the people behind certain online areas or uh, channel personalities, or a website personality. I don't know who is who -0 degrees, who the person is behind that. But it's a very valid question, because there are people that put out a good deal of information out there, and sometimes it's their preference that they remain relatively unknown. And and we've got to keep our significant others happy in what we collect, or what we have around. And you just tell your significant other that it's a hobby that doesn't have as many vices to it. um it's not the same as somebody out there um getting drunk or something else um that could be done. So I think it's a relatively vice-free hobby. Although if it interferes with your life, you got to remember of those around you, though, the ones you love. You got to keep them happy too. You got to do your socialization with them. That's family. That should certainly come ahead of any immaterial or material items that you have. But so, but we've gone an hour and a half. That's been a great stream. I look forward to seeing people in next week's stream as well. I'll have to decide when I'm getting back to Computer Reset. I want it to be soon, but I'm working with other factors in that, and so I I just want to thank everybody for showing up and watching and interacting with me on chat. But I'll say it just like I always do. This is IBM Museum. That's all I have for now. Thank you.